Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast.
Are we here?
We are here.
Well, I also figured out how to watch Party this time. I think I did it.
Oh, go us. So
Go
successful.
We figured out very simple things. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome. I know I struggled with Zoom today.
Oh no!
I was the laughing stock of my Zoom contingent.
Well, you laughed out of the Zoom room.
I was. Well, I would have been, but it was my Zoom room, which was the funny thing.
Oh no!
Oh no. Well, anyway, we're here, and it's Star Trek time.
It's Star Trek time. It's Friday, and you are watching / listening to Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast. I am Aki Berbice, and
I am Steph Mans.
I don't know. We never really do that at the top,
never
but it's like
that,
a cool thing to try.
Just write that down. Never do that again.
Yes, that was a terrible idea. Today we will be covering episode 5 of season 3, entitled Die Trying.
Indeed.
Any pre-notes you'd like to make? Any pre-discussion?
I rather enjoyed this one.
I thought it was great. Yeah.
It felt like what a Star Trek episode used to feel like a little bit.
Oh, hello.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can preach. All right, well, let's run it down real quick, and then we'll get into the nit and the grit. It's time to run it down. Can you run it down for me? What just happened? Can you run it down for me? Yeah, no, if you're only listening to this podcast, you're really missing out on the run it down dance section of the show.
Yeah. Next time we'll do like a wave that goes into.
Oh, that's good. Back and forth.
Put like your arm up right now.
Okay, I'm ready.
Right.
You go.
Okay.
I think I know. Okay. And then
yes, look at that.
Quality entertainment. Please support us at patreon.com/setphasers.
Yeah, we need the money.
We need the money so we can give you more waves. Okay, so let's get into episode 5, Die Trying.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we now have the coordinates for Starfleet / the Federation, and so they jumped to. I assume that they spore drive.
They black alerted.
They blacked alerted. Well, I'll work on it.
Did they blurt? They blurted.
They blurted, and they drove to this Starfleet HQ, and they handed in all their information because I guess they were in touch beforehand, and they had to head through this weird like cloaking distortion field. And when they come through, it's a bunch of cool futuristic ships. There's a bunch of cool stuff, which, even though we're pressed for time, I will list now. Some of the ships had organic hulls. Some of them were purely holographic. There were neutronium alloy fibers. There were detached nacelles. There was a thing that was just like a floating donut rainforest, I guess. And also, there was a USS Voyager. And this was hard for me to... I tried to get the call number on it, but CBS All Access really didn't want me to pause and find it.
They don't like you to
making
pause.
It small. But I figured it out.
They don't want you to screenshot.
They learned a tough lesson today because I am persistent. It was USS Voyager 74656-J. So that's a lot of Voyager. Anyway, so those are some cool things we saw in the weird distortion fieldy thing that has beautiful energy spouts coming out of it. And so they get like remote docked, and Saru, Michael, and Adira Tal are asked to come down to be spoken with. They show up on HQ. It's bright. It's, colorful. It's multi-leveled. It's got a glass dome for some reason. It's a gorgeous looking sort of corporate looking atrium style thing. And no one, for the first time, it doesn't seem like anyone is like trying to kill them for showing up. Like, it's not like when they showed up and the cowboy guy showed up and was like, "You gonna die," or when they got to Earth and they were like, "You gonna die." This was just people being a bit frosty. They're just a bit frosty, just a bit cold. So, do you like that?
I did, yeah.
I wrote gray uniforms, frosty. And they meet the commander in chief of Starfleet. His name is Charles Vance. And they meet his head of security, Lieutenant Willa. And Vance is fairly cold, but he's almost like polite cold. And then Willa is like impolite cold.
I think that's fair. And he's also distrustful.
He is, but he explains himself well for being distrustful. He's not compassionate in that is going to do sort of mean things, but he does explain himself, whereas Willa just seems very much like security officer 101, get out of my face, you know. But anyway, I liked it. I like that is still the thing. There's like a captain who's like, yeah, I'm all business, and then there's their security officer who's like, I'm all business and not friendly unless you win me over. Anyway, we find out that Kaminar joined the Federation. That's just a footnote for anybody. A lot of things happen as they get introduced, but basically Vance is like, okay, well, we need to debrief about all the information you sent because it's very confusing. And so we're going to sit down and talk, and then we'll see if we can trust you or whatever. He's like, I have a lot of questions. In the time that they're figuring all that out, though, we get a report from the Cuyahoga. I feel like that word is not pronounced that way.
I can't help you.
Cuyahoga is what I'm going to say. And that's a ship. And they're saying that Orion and Endorian vessels are in the Sigma Draconis system. And they go, it's the Emerald Chain. The Emerald Chain. Which apparently is the Orion and Endorian syndicate thing that we met in the first episode. I don't know. They kind of referenced it in this. And they mentioned someone named Osira. Vance says Osira is getting more and more brazen these days. Also, there's these Keeley. Yes?
Oh, no, it's Osiris.
I did note that it does seem like an Egyptian god name, but I'm sure that will have some sort of ramifications down the road. But Osira is a pretty good, if you were like looking for a cool name, you start with Osiris. You take the I out, place it with the Y, double the R's, but nay.
Maybe Osira is the female version. Let's have a look.
Oh, perhaps. Oh, wait, are you
I'm
Googling that?
Yeah.
If you want to know, you can Google that.
Osira is a fictional character in the DC comic books Wonder Woman.
Oh,
She
sure.
first appeared in Wonder Woman, Volume 1, number 231 in May 1997. No, May 1977.
I was going to say.
So,
yeah.
No Egyptian relation.
Nope. None that we know of.
None that we know of.
Okay, so there's this Osira character. We'll come back to that. Adira has to go get a full medical diagnostic. And Vance to say, let's be clear. I was close with Senatol. I'm not close with you. Which is, a little cold, as I said.
Little cold.
It's a bit cold. There's also this Keeley refugee crisis. Apparently, the Keeley are sort of like nomadic species, and they're suffering some sort of cascade failure of their nervous systems, and they only have 4 hours to live, and they're overflowing the sick bay, and they're being treated in the hallways now. And Michael and Saru offer to help, but Vance is like, no. We need to know what your deal is before we offer you any kind of information. So they sit down with Vance, and he's like, okay, tell me about all this stuff. And he mistrusts everything they mentioned. The spore drive, sphere data, control. And basically he's just like, we don't have any evidence of this information because it was wiped at the end of season 2 from the records. I'm surprised there's no like Black Ops ultra confidential for your eyes only record of this stuff. But I guess they didn't do that for Starfleet. So he says basically, we have 2 things that are true, and it's not a good situation. He does tell them that the Federation is now 38 member worlds, only 38, down from apparently 350 when it was at its prime. And maybe there's more, but because there's no subspace communications, they have no idea. They can't be sure. But he will not discuss the burn. It is confidential, and he does not yet trust the crew of Discovery. Also, he basically tells them, hey, quick history lesson. We spent most of the 30th century fighting this war to uphold the temporal accords to ban time travel so people couldn't mess with the timeline. So you being here is...
Do what you did.
Yeah, you're basically illegal, which is an interesting. Not going to say it underscores a current day rip from the headlines crisis, but essentially he's informing Discovery that their very being there puts them in some sort of I don't know how to describe it, is unlawful that they are there. They can't be there. Anyway, their presence is a crime, is the way he describes it. But then he says, "Hey, this is great. So we're going to talk to the rest of your crew, and then we're going to split you up, and we're going to retrofit Discovery. A good day." And Michael's like, "What?" And even Saru's like, "What?" But then he's like, "Okay," because Saru's all about like a chain of command. So they're going to reassign the crew. They're going to split them up. So when Michael and Saru get back to the ship, Michael goes to the mattress. Is like, "We got to figure out a way to keep the crew together. We got to convince this guy. I know we're supposed to follow orders that we're back home, quote, in Starfleet, but it's not right to take this crew apart." And I have to agree with her there. I know she was supposed to seem like the hothead or something in this episode, but what benevolent group like Starfleet or the Federation would go like, "Oh, you've been through some trauma where all of you have been dislocated 930 years into the future, into a situation where your very being makes you illegal. We're going to split you guys up."
There would have been some sort of medical guy that would have been like, "Hey, you can't do that. They've just undergone such trauma."
Didn't look like anybody was doing that. That's all I'm saying. It was just Vance and Willa being very cold. So, okay. Michael wants to see if there's a way that if they can help the Keeley, maybe they can prove to Vance and the Federation at large that their intentions are good. There's a crew debrief because they're basically going through with this plan. And so the crew gets debriefed by basically these android beings. And Discovery is full of, I would describe everyone on Discovery at this point as hard cases. They've been through the Klingon War. They went to the Terran universe. They survived that. They came back. They survived the fight with Red Angel, and they went forward in time. So I don't know how they thought these basic bland computers were going to phase them. Culber's like, "Yeah, I died. I was murdered. It was pretty jacked up." Jet Reno's like, "I need some snacks." She actually winds up eating nachos in her interview, which I thought was awesome. I believe there were blue corn nachos, if I'm not mistaken.
Didn't she, at that point, did she say, "Can I get a beer?"
She said, "I'm going to need a beverage," or something like that. Yeah, I'm going to need a beverage with these. Nan just completely stonewalls. So every question they ask her, she gives them name, rank, and like duty roster. Anyway, I thought that was a cute moment. So everyone sort of held their ground in their own way. They were not intimidated. Giorgio's debrief is very weird, and we'll come back to that, I guess. Right? That's its own weird thing. So Michael and Saru are able to get Vance to give them the travel plans of the Keeley, and they find out that the Keeley visited this planet called Erna, which in their time, in the 23rd century, was like an industrial planet that was about to be shut down because of the horrific consequences that any living entity on that planet would suffer because of they were dealing with like exotic chemicals and metals and things like that. And so there's this quote UVB radiation that if the Keeley visited there and scavenged, then they probably wound up eating or ingesting or touching something that gave them these, what do they call them, misfolding proteins that are leading to their cascade failure nervous systems. And Michael mentions that there used to be a seed ship because there's a way to create a vaccine that they can get healthy specimens of the plants that used to grow on this planet Erna. There was a seed ship 930 years ago, the USS Teakoff. And if they can find that, they can get samples of the original flora and they can perhaps design some sort of treatment, right? The admiral's like, "Great, that's a great idea. The USS Teakoff still exists. We're going to just take Disco and Stamets and we'll do the job because we don't trust you yet." And Michael speaks up a little bit. She gets kind of like the Vance is like, "Watch your tone, Commander. You're not home yet," which was like, why was that necessary? Anyway, I
mean,
it's
plain mean.
yes, it's very cold. And Saru manages to interpose and say, "Listen, why don't you send Michael and my crew, and I will stay here basically as a hostage because I think they can do it. You only have 4 hours to save these people, and we can jump there immediately with the spore drive, get what we need from the Teakoff, come back and save these people." And Vance agrees. He's like, "If you fail, it will come down on him." These threats, very un-Starfleet-like. That's all I have to say. But also he insists that Lieutenant Willa go with them with the security detail. And Willa's very derisive of Discovery, and therefore she has earned my eternal ire. So Disco jumps to the Teakoff location. They show up there. There's no Teakoff. There's a huge iron storm. They have to go in, find the Teakoff in the iron storm, and tractor it out. It's a pretty scary bit of business. Detmer, who's still a little shaky on the controls, has a bit of trouble, but she does manage to pull the ship through, get them in, and get them out, and they get the Teakoff. It's exhibiting weird kinds of radiation, but they go in there. Apparently, there was a Barzan family that was in charge. Barzan is the race that Nan is. And Barzan apparently joined the Federation in the 25th century. So the away team is Culber, Nan, and Michael. They go over to the ship. They beam over. It's overrun with plants, but there are no real life signs. There's like a flickering life sign that they don't know. Maybe the radiation is messing with their instruments.
That was such a Star Trek moment when there was this sort of shift in light that you were like, oh, that's a being. That's something. That's an entity. Oh, it was great.
Oh, totes. When they like walk off screen and then the music swells. Yeah. I was like, it's
classic Trek.
This is classic Trek. This is like, we know what this episode is. There's something in there with them. When they get to the main living quarters, no one is there, but there's like a hollow program of the family that was there. Mother, father, 2 daughters. They're like singing a song. The song, weirdly, is the song that Adira was playing from Senatal's Memories on the cello at the end of the last episode, which I'm on the record as saying was creepy.
Did you pick that up before they told us that was the memory? They reinforced that, hey, we've heard this before. But did you pick it up before they told us?
I can't remember now. I think that I did, because I think it was also played in the last time on Discovery. They did a bit of the cello. And so when they were humming it, I was like, well, that sounds familiar. But I couldn't remember if it was like they're humming a Star Trek theme or something. But I did appreciate, if they hadn't said it, I probably would have enjoyed figuring it out. I'll put it that way. But it's fine. You know, I think it would have been cool if we didn't know until the end of the episode. If Michael was like, that's a weird melody. It's the same melody. Dun, dun, dun. But that didn't happen. So no dun, dun, dun. It's all right. We're in the first half of the season here. It's all Discovery. I'm sure we're going to get into some serious dun, dun, duns, maybe even in the next episode, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. Anyway, Michael has to go into the seed vault, which you can only go into by transporting. And she tries to get some seeds out, but you need a vocal password. She basically needs a password, which she don't have. In the meantime, Culber and Nan explore the living quarters and see if they can find the family. Nan goes through the logs and sees that the family was happy until something happened. A bright light, I think is what I'm going to say. The main doctor, the father, I guess, Dr. Addis, says that some light hurt them and he's trying to find a cure, and he's getting slowly more sort of intense. And eventually he starts to like weirdly disrupt in the hologram. And at the same time, Culber finds the daughters and the mother, and they are in stasis, but they dead. They did. In stasis, but they did.
They did.
So once they figure that out, Michael also briefly has a fight with Dr. Addis in the seed vault, but then he disappears because he's apparently phasing in and out from himself. Why is that happening? Not to worry, because we've got the crazy trio on the job. So Michael and Culber, they explain the situation, and who's working on it? Stamets, Tilly, and Reno. They're working the problem. And also, I would definitely watch a spin-off series just about the 3 of them in that lab. That's all I have to say. All right.
Yep.
They figure out that it was a coronal mass injection, that Addis was beaming into the seed vault as it hit. That's why he was caught out of phase, but that's why his family got sick. It was 6 weeks ago. They managed to trap him by simulating a power failure on the stasis pods that allows him to re-beam him in and re-beam him out and re-beam him in. And anyway, he's back. And then Michael has to make an impassioned case to get him out of this state of like aggrieved catatonia, to give them the code, and they get the seeds. But then he's super sick, but he refuses to accept any treatment because he won't leave his family. And so Nan makes the great sacrifice of saying, I will stay with the seed ship and I will make sure that they get home to Barzan and are buried properly. And she and Michael share a tearful goodbye. And they say, I hope their paths cross again. And I have to tell you, I hope their paths cross again. And they fly, the disco flies back. They make the cure. Happy dappy, happy dappy. Saru mentions the Renaissance painter Giotto in making an impassioned, like oratorical plea to keep the crew together, saying that they can offer perspective. And Vance says, okay. And he says, welcome home. Oh, a little follow-up. Michael goes to Will and says, hey, did you ask anybody about that melody? And Will is like, yeah, like half the people here know that melody. It's like a thing we all know. And Michael's like, don't you think that's weird? And Willis says, some things get in the ether, end quote. So that's the main thing. And then we can just quickly go back and tag and say, Giorgio has an interview with somebody whose name I don't think we ever get. So I just call him, quote, Glasses. And I hope he never gives us a name because I like calling him Glasses.
Okay.
And he's apparently some sort of like Terran fan, aficionado, studier. And he basically tells her a couple of crazy things. One, that there's some kind of genetic thing in her quantum stem cell thing that makes her chimeric, makes Terrans evil. Tells her that the Terran Empire fell centuries ago. Tells her that ever since she left the Terran universe, their two universes have been drifting apart. That the last person to cross over was 500 years ago. And I think there was one more weird thing. Is there another weird thing I'm forgetting? That might be it. But their relationship was very strange. And he also is pretty good at reading Giorgio. Probably the first person that's good at reading Giorgio.
Yeah.
Because he's had so long, 1,000 years to study Terrans. Right. So that was interesting. And then at the very end, Michael approaches Giorgio and Giorgio's super out of it. And Michael calls her name like 4 times before she comes around. And then she kind of like is like, oh, I'm fine, and walks away. And then privately has a very confused look on her face. So that was episode 5 of season 3, Die Trying.
Indeed.
It's been run down. Okay, so what do you got? What are your thoughts?
Well, as I say, I liked that, it was a bit of a throwback of like, get the band back together, get some more the Star Trek that we're used to.
A quick adventure, a quick mission.
Adventure, prove themselves to like the powers that be above them, who often don't think they can do it or don't think that they know best as the higher power, as we've been used to seeing in Star Trek's past. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm curious to see what they do next within the context of the bigger Starfleet versus sort of on their own in the future.
Right, they're finally back in Starfleet. I wonder how long it will last, but they're finally back in Starfleet.
Let's go with your tinfoil theories. Come on.
Okay, as usual, I have written down a couple of beep. Yes, bleep, blorp. Beep. Number 1. The melody. What's the deal with it? Everyone knows it. Willa's answer was, some things are in the ether. Way to be creepy.
Yeah. Some sort of coded message for something.
It has to have something to do with the burn, right? It's this melody, right? I don't know what it is, but is it like a melody or is it, some kind of frequency thing? Like it has to have something to do with the larger picture because this is Discovery. So that only makes sense. I cannot figure out what it is, but it is creepy that the kids, it's like a lullaby that everyone knows in some way, shape, or form.
It's a very depressing lullaby.
Yeah, pretty sad. It's pretty sad. All right, so the melody is a thing to look out for. And now I feel like all of us in every episode are going to be like, is that the melody? Is that the melody? Is that the melody? And I just kind of envision, have you ever seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
I can't remember.
It's the Richard Dreyfuss thing where he's compelled to build. I forget the reason he's compelled. He kind of like alienates himself from his family. I'm sorry going off on this tangent, but in the end, they're able to talk to this big alien spacecraft by using musical tones.
I don't recall.
It's like womp, womp, womp. And then the spacecraft goes womp, womp, womp. Anyway.
Thank you for that.
Important. I don't know why I felt I had to perform that whole thing. If you've seen Close Encounters, out there and you're listening, you're freaking out, and everyone else thinks that I'm a weirdo, which is fair. Okay, the temporal accords.
Mm-hmm.
I just like to dwell on that because it ropes in Enterprise, the most unbeloved of all the Star Trek franchises, which had all that temporal war business in the first season and I think in the final season. Although, don't look too hard at that because it gets pretty bad. But I like that there's these temporal accords. I wonder if that also has something to do with the burn, if they were fighting, if they've been spending most of the 30th century fighting time travelers. I mean, anything is possible. All bunch of weird stuff is possible. And that's part of why they're not trusted, right? Because they could be temporal agents, even though they admit that they came from the past.
Yeah. I don't know. There's so many theories about the burn and what it, like how it was orchestrated, what the purpose of it was, who did it.
We do have, is this the first episode we get confirmation that it was 120 years ago? Like a real pinpoint number on it?
I think, yeah, probably.
Book was like 100 years ago. I don't know, before my time. And this is the first time, at least, we've been told, because Van says it was 120 years ago, I think, or was it Glasses, who I don't trust at all? Which brings me to my next point. Glasses. What's up with him?
I don't know.
He's super weird. He's like an old man. He's wearing glasses.
Well, yes. And he doesn't need to, obviously, because no one needs to wear glasses anymore.
Right. And he adjusts them in a very conspicuous way while talking to Giorgio. Like he's like their x-ray, or he's monitoring her biosigns or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then Giorgio's all weird at the end. I wonder if he like brainwashed her or tried to do some weird, mumbo jumbo on him.
In the throw forward to the next episode, Giorgio looks like she passes out.
Yep.
And then that led me to wonder whether like there was something, you know how like the light thing, she's sensitive to light. And then I was like, oh, maybe there's something about Linus that she finds fascinating because of her own light sensitivity. And maybe there was something about...
You digging deep.
Yeah, me with my tinfoil. I got tinfoil.
You got tinfoil,
and then in that interview, if there was some sort of light thing that he did, because she seemed really off, like not just sort of deep in thought. She just seemed like away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she seemed like she was like a sleeper agent or something. She wasn't like distracted. She was like not there for a second. That's creepy, and I feel like Glasses has something to do with it. And she was the only one who met with Glasses, as far as we know. None of us even know about. None of the rest of the crew knows about Glasses.
I wonder if there's something in a theory where the longer she spends in the future, and then so much further away from her universe, and some like sort of out of phase, something like that.
It's possible. Yeah. I don't know. I think all that information, we got a big lore dump in that meeting with Glasses. I think is all very important for what's going to happen with Giorgio, and maybe with the burn. I don't know. The idea of like universes moving apart, subspace is not working. He's cloak and dagger. He's a strange one who just stood there staring at her while his two holograms tried to grill her. She also breaks his communicator and takes the middle part out of it in that discussion. I don't know. There's a lot there. Okay. Terran Universe, Melody, Temporal Accords, Giorgio, and Who is Glasses. And then finally, this now almost seems like mundane, but the Emerald Chain. The Emerald Chain. Watch out for the Emerald Chain. They were the people that they had the exchange, right? Presumably in the first episode.
Cindy's giving us some theory love.
Thank you, Cindy, because we can do this all day. These are just hot takes. I could come up with theories. I just beautiful mind out here. Just red yarn and photos. So what's the deal with the Emerald Chain? Is that like gonna be a big foil? Because it seems like it was. It was really set up and underscored strongly in the first 2 episodes. But then they went to a different sector, and we thought maybe that we'd left the exchange and the whole Orion and Dorian like union behind. But it seems like they're impinging upon Starfleet territory now. And this Osira person. Osira. And of course, if the Emerald Chain is involved in something, that means we're going to get to look at Book.
Oh, yes, Book.
right?
That's true. But
Oh, yes. And best believe I saw that he's going to appear in the next episode. And I will have a hot, sexy book slow jam ready for the next episode.
yes.
Post show.
Oh, you've been promising this.
Yeah. I started work on it this week. I got busy, but
I'm sure you did.
I've got some pretty awful rhymes ready. I think we're going to be in good shape.
Oh, I'm so curious. Could wrap up some lyrics just now.
Yeah. Oh, God. Those abs. All right. So we're going to have a great time next week. That's all I can promise you. I feel like the Emerald Chain maybe has some secrets. That's why Michael was acting as a courier for the year that she was waiting for discovery. And she thinks that she found some information on the burn.
Mhm.
And she traded that weird little information tube crystal with that guy in that intro.
Mhm.
Remember that? So I just feel like if we're going to be dealing with the Emerald, if we're going to be dealing with
The Emerald Chain.
and Osira next episode, yeah, I'm going to keep doing
You
it.
keep doing it.
Then
Give me so much more to edit. Thank you so much.
The Emerald Chain.
if we're going to keep dealing with the Emerald Chain and Osira next episode, I think we're going to get some more information about the burn or more questions. And I don't know, I'm excited too. I think this is classic Discovery in that I have no idea, because we know it's not episodic. We know that you can't just like watch an episode and then like, all right, put it out of your head and come back the next week. Like the experience of watching TNG on TV back in the day was like, it wraps up good and you don't have to worry about what's going on with the crew over the next week until the next episode. But now everything in every episode, you kind of have to wonder, like, is this going to come back to bite us in the ass?
Yeah. You're spot on there, buddy. Are we tinfoiled out?
That's all I got. We're tin foiled out for now.
Maybe we need a tinfoil theory section.
What with hey,
Yes.
that's all I got. All I have is a rundown of tinfoil theories. Yeah.
Tinfoil time. Something like that.
Tinfoil time.
Yeah.
Sounds like you got it covered.
I don't have my glockenspiel.
Oh, that was supposed to be a glockenspiel. I
yeah.
thought those were rototoms. I thought that was like a do 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 boo do boo do 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 do.
Well, tinfoil, I suppose I just feel like a glockenspiel might be close to the tinfoil feeling.
Well, I don't have a glockenspiel.
Yes, but you have
Maybe
a
I have one on this keyboard.
synthesizer with a keyboard.
Well, we'll see what it can synthesize.
All right. Anyway, because there's metal.
Shall we? Yeah, I think we should wrap this up. It's been great. Yeah. Let's wrap it up. Next time.
Yeah, next time. Do we have any quotable moments or set phasers? No?
Oh, snap. I can't believe I forgot quotable moments. I have so many great quotes. Okay. Hit me with the quotable moments.
How did you nearly forget?
Oh, because I'm looking at my cheat sheet and I didn't write quotable moments this week.
Mm-hmm.
I got so obsessed with my tinfoiling. All right. I got a couple here. I have a super heavy one, which I'll save. But I liked that when Vance says, "Two truths now occupy the same space. That never goes well." I don't know why I did it in that voice. And also he says, as I was saying, he like explains his mistrust well. He says, "From where I sit, and I sit here, trusting you is a risk I cannot take without evidence." Yeah. And then, oh, this could even be a what should you call it? A meme, although I'm not good. I don't know if it could be because it's a little sad. Giorgio says the weakness of people is generally other people, isn't it?
Indeed.
Anyway.
That's some wisdom.
It's very Giorgio-esque. Yeah. Very anti-Starfleet. And then, okay. The thing Michael says to Dr. Addis, this is the big quote. This is the big Star Trek moment of the episode. "I know you had to watch them die. I'm sorry. No one should ever have to go through that. But there are others that are about to walk where you've been walking, and you have a chance to stop it. Please help them. Oh, no, please help us. Help them."
Dr. Kalber being our man of the hour, man of wisdom.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and of course, hold on, just going through my, hold on, let me just consult my notes here. Oh, yes, it's Willa. There was a moment in which I softened my hatred of her. She had so offended everyone I love. And she says to Tilly, Stamets, and Reno, she says, "Dysfunction aside, you all make a pretty good team. And then Reno says, dysfunction is the team. And actually, yes, Stamets says, but we've gotten used to it or something like that. And then Reno says, no, we haven't. Oh, we like it, I think is what he says. And she says, no, we haven't. And then he gives her a very hurt look. I loved that moment. That's why I would watch that show.
I was in a Star Trek forum actually this week, because of course that's what I do now. And someone was interviewing Jet Reno or Tig Notaro and said, does anyone have any questions? And I said, does Tig Notaro have a hand in any of the one-liners and the zingers on the show?
Yeah.
She apparently does not. She gave all the credit to the writers, but she delivers it with so much class and authenticity.
She's consummate. I did listen to her interview on the Star Trek Pod Directive.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you checked that out.
I haven't yet.
But she mentioned that she has a lot of trouble with the jargon, which is like what her character does when she's not being. And I thought that it's just funny now that I see her saying stuff like cosmic ejection, whatever. I know that she's like, this is awful. she almost quit because she thought she was so terrible.
Really?
After her first appearance, yeah.
Oh, I'm glad she didn't.
Yeah, as a
Good
real.
fun facts. Love me some fun facts.
Fun facts.
Fun facts. We love Reno. All righty. Next time on Set Phasers.
Next time on Set Phasers.
All right. Well, next week on Set Phasers, we'll talk about episode 6 of season 3, entitled Scavengers. Ooh. And we get to see Book. Book's going to be in it. Giorgio's going to pass out. Michael's going to say some stuff. I think it's going to be a good episode. That's what I'm saying.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, we're in full swing. Episode 6 is like, we're approaching the halfway point of this season. I think there's only 13 episodes. So strap in, y'all, because this is episode 6 is around where the seasons usually get ridiculous. Something awful happens.
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous. Okay, well, thank you all for joining us. If you enjoyed the program, you can catch us every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern on Facebook Live, or you can download us as a podcast every Monday, wherever podcasts come from. And if you do, please rate and subscribe.
Please do rate and subscribe. That helps us get found by other people. We are on Facebook and Instagram at Set Phasers Podcast, so feel free to follow us and join in the conversation of all things Trek.
If you Set Phasers, if you want to support us in our continuing mission to discover what Discovery has in store for us, we'd only be delighted. You can patronize us, we can take it, by going to patreon.com/setphasers.
And until next time, I'm Steph Mans.
And I'm Aki Burmese. And this has been Set Phasers, a highly illogical Star Trek podcast.
Computer. End program.